Hello, I'm Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, and today we're going to be working on this Lew's Speedcast 1. Now, I'm not saying I'm any expert. You guys know that by now if you've been subscribed to my videos for very long. But I'm going to tell you what I have been able to dig up on this, and my source of information on this is a man that I've encountered online. His name is Tommy Modisette, and according to Tommy, Zebco acquired Lew's fishing reels back in 1992, the same year that they bought out Browning. They made those years for a couple of years, these reels for a couple of years. They were basically a Zebco 1 reel with the Lew's name on them. The Lew's covers, the front cover, back cover, and the foot of the reel are painted black. And so it makes it a really nice looking reel. And if you notice on the foot, it says specifically, let's zoom in on that for you. There you go. Zebco, made in USA. So even though it says it's Lew's, it's a Zebco reel. So it's what we've got. These came with 100 yards of 14-pound test line. And they supposedly are pretty daggone good reels due to the gear setup that's in here. We're going to take a look at it. It's completely different from any of the Zebco ones that we've seen so far. It also has a unique spinner head on it from the other Zebcos. All the others either had a 1 or a 2-pin spinner head, or they used a ripple cut around the bottom, whereas this one has a 3-pin spinner head. The Zebco 1 itself was introduced in 1973 and ran through 1979, then they discontinued it. So then later on, when they built this one for Lew's, it became the Speedcast 1. So let's get started on this. First off, this reel's in very good condition. I'm not planning to keep this one. I'm going to forward it on to Tommy when I get done. He said he would like to have this reel, and it's going to go to him when I'm done with it. So let's go through this checklist for the Spincaster fishing reels. I was unable to find a schematic for it. The reel seems to be complete. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's barely got a few rubs on it. Does it turn smoothly? Yes, it does. Is there anything on it that is broken? Not that I can tell. No dents, nothing. Just a few rubs in the paint. Does the line release? It seems to. It clicks back in nicely. Does the drag work? We're going to find out when we get in there. It turns, so we're going to see. I'm pretty sure it does. It's a pretty simple cam system. Does the handle knobs turn smoothly? These don't turn as smoothly as I would like them to. We're going to lubricate them. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that right now so I don't forget it. I have a tendency, some of you have noticed, I always want to service these each time they come in. And sometimes you'll notice in my videos that it doesn't get done. And it's not that they don't get done, they just don't get done on the video. So we're going to do those right now so I don't forget it for you. And we'll lubricate. This one is particularly stiff, so we'll give him a little bit of extra oil and get him up and moving. Is there an anti-reverse on it? Yes, there is. There is an anti-reverse disconnect right here. There we go. Now it spins both directions just fine. Re-engage it. I'll show you how that works in just a little while. I'll also show you how that drag system works. So we're going to go ahead and turn off the anti-reverse at this time. Not that it really matters on this reel. I've looked at how it's set up, and it's not really going to matter on it. But other reels, it does matter, so we're going to get in the habit of leaving it turned off. I'm going to have to interrupt the video at this point and tell you that I made a mistake. I shot this entire video, put it all together, and had it up on the web. And I was contacted by Tommy Modisette, and Tommy was very nice. He didn't want to hurt my feelings, but basically he said, oh, yeah, it's a really nice video, but you messed up. And then he explained to me what I did wrong. And so I'm going to go ahead and run the video the way it was, but I'm going to tell you right now not to try to use this to try to assemble one until you see the entirety, the whole film all the way through, because I'm going to leave in there where I screwed up, and then I'm going to come back and fix it. All right, so this is an interruption in the video. We're going to continue it on. I'll let you see what I messed up, and then I'm going to come back and show you what I did wrong and what you can do to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we're going to start this off by taking off the front cover. And this turns different from most other Zebco reels that I've ever encountered. Most of them, when you want to take them off, you rotate it counterclockwise. This particular one, you rotate clockwise. You'll see the notch right here. The notch is on the head right here, and it slips into this notch right like that, and then rotates that way to lock down. So to unlock it, it's going to go clockwise. Let's take that off. Let's take a look at the spinner head. Notice here that we have 3 pins on the spinner head, which is very different from any of the other Zebcos that I've encountered so far. We'll go ahead and unscrew that, take it off, and you'll look down here. This one's pretty clean. Let's see if we can clean it up just a little bit. Okay, we're just going to take a cotton swab, run it around in there a little bit. This is in very good shape. Everything about this reel is in really good shape. We're going to go ahead and lubricate that. And I'm sure Tommy would like to do this reel himself, but then I wouldn't have it to do for Young Stivers reels. So I'm sorry, Tommy. I'm going to have, if you want to take it apart and redo it yourself when you get it there, that won't hurt my feelings at all. I don't mind. Let's maneuver all of these around a little bit. Make sure that they move easily, and they do. All right. We'll turn that over and sit it over to the side. Now let's take a look at the, by the way, it's called a spinner head on a Zebco reel. On other reels, it's called a rotor. On a Zebco reel, it's called a spinner head. Now, what Lou's actually put into theirs, I don't know. I was unable to find a schematic for it. So, we'll call it a spinner head. That should make the Zebco folks content. All right, take that E-clip off. Take off our drag washer. Yeah, there's no lubrication under there for the drag, so we'll be taking care of that. Slide the spool off. There's our drag washer. Okay, we're definitely going to want to strip that line off and put on some new. And that does not come off at this time, so we're going to leave it right there for now. Okay, come over to this side. We're going to, I don't think that's the right size. It's not. There we go. And this handle again says made in the USA on the handle itself. Okay, let's unscrew this. And remove the handle. Wipe the handle off, make it clean. All right, we're gonna leave this in here like this for now. And we're gonna go ahead and undo this. Now the rear cover comes off in the reverse clockwise direction, or anti-clockwise. Take that off. Let's clean the old grease off of the button. The rest of it's in very good shape. Very clean. Nice looking reel. Okay. At this point, we're going to remove these 6 screws right here. Let's zoom in a little bit. I plan to try to hold this in one place so you can see it clearly. Okay, we're going to set those 2 screws with that plate over to the side. All right, interesting. One has a washer and one did not. So one had this one here had a washer, this one did not. I don't know if somebody's been in here before, but that's the way it was. Let's take a look at this one. Somebody might have added that in because it might have been putting too much force on the drag lever shaft. Okay, now that one has a washer, and it's on the opposite side. One washer on the other side. Okay, so I have a washer underneath the head here and a washer underneath the head here. I wonder what that means I'm going to have on this side. And over here, it appears that I have one under here. No. No washer on this side at all. On either one. Okay. Now, at this point, we should be able to lift this assembly up out of here. Just like that. All right. This is your anti-reverse. I'll show you in a little bit how that fits in there and exactly where it goes. This tip of it right here is going to have to fit into that slot right there. And that moves that back and forth to engage and disengage the anti-reverse. All right, we're going to slide the axle shaft out. Now at this point, we could push this bearing out right here, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. I don't want to take a chance on damaging Tommy's reel. And at this point, yes, it is Tommy's reel. It's no longer mine. But the bearing is turning freely, if you'll notice. Okay. So what we're going to do, it's not a seal, it's a shielded bearing. It's not a sealed bearing, it's a shielded bearing. It's very thick, gummy grease. Okay, I usually don't grease bearings unless I have to. I prefer to use oil on the bearings. Spin it around a few times. Let that work into it. Okay, this is nice and clean inside. Aside from having some old caked up grease. And this is probably the first time that anybody has been into this to operate it. I'm going to clean this off camera just to keep my work area clean. Okay, with this clean, you should be able to inspect the gear and make sure that none of the teeth are damaged. And they're not. This is in very good condition. Okay, with that done, we're going to lubricate that, but we'll lubricate it just as we're ready to put it in. In the meantime, let's move over to this crankshaft assembly. And I'm going to take it off camera and clean it up. I'm going to leave that anti-reverse attached. I don't see a reason to take it off. I'm afraid I might spring it if I did. So I'm going to take it off camera, scrub it up real quick, and we're going to come back in just a minute and take a look at it. Okay, in the end, I've decided to go ahead and take this anti-reverse off of here. And the reason I'm doing it is because this bushing right here has got a lot of dirt underneath it, and I want to be able to get out under there and get that cleaned off. So in order for that bushing to come off, this anti-reverse needs to come out. So we're going to pop that out, just being very careful not to bend it. Okay, lift it out gently and over and off, like that. Yeah, see how much dirt is up in here? And then, yeah, that's really stiff. Oh, there we go. That's really stiff. We want to clean all that out of there. We don't want to leave it in there. All right. We're going to zoom back out now, and we're going to start assembling what we've got here. Everything's been cleaned up. And for any of you that are really curious as to how these things get so pristinely clean, all I do is spray them with a little WD-40, hit them with a toothbrush, on occasion a wire wheel, but I didn't need one on any of this, and occasionally a Scotch-Brite pad just to clean them up a little bit. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to reassemble this gear set and get it ready to go back into the reel. So the first thing I'm going to do, normally on rotating devices, I don't like to use grease, but on this particular one, it's small, so I don't think it's going to create that much resistance force. So we're going to put a little grease on there. Oh, that turns so much smoother now. Before, you had to use real force to get that to rotate. All right, once that's done, then we can take their anti-reverse mechanism and stick it back on here. Let's put a little bit of grease under there. Now, you don't, remember, this has to have some resistance on it in order for the anti-reverse to work. So here we go. It can't just free rotate, but it has to be able to rotate some. Okay, so that's good. We can, if we needed to, we could squeeze it just a little bit right here to tighten it up. So if we decide once we put it in that it's not as strong as it could be, we can squeeze that just a little bit to add some. Okay, next we're going to come back, put a small coating of grease on this crankshaft and slide it back into, slide it back into the gear here. Oh yeah, see, that turns nice and easy. So that's not really providing a whole lot of resistance. So that's fine. We're good for grease there. Okay, this guy, it's got a roller bearing inside. It's got a bushing right here. It's got a roller bearing right here. We've lubricated the bushing, the roller bearing. We're going to slide this back inside here, like so. There. That turns freely inside. And now we should be able to, unless I've made a mistake somewhere, set this gear assembly right back down inside, right here. And we've got to make sure that that point right there fits down into that hole under there. Like so. Okay, so rotate it around until it makes contact in there, gets into that hole like that. Okay, and then push down, and now, see how the anti-reverse works? It will rotate this way, but it won't go this way. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit more oil to the catch right here, and the anti-reverse. And now, even though this is turning beautifully, we want to come back and add grease on this gear and on your pinion gear. Rotate it around and basically keep going until you've gotten the pinion gear and the crankshaft gear completely lubricated. Like so. And then come back and put some grease right here where this button is going to push in and out, and then a little bit on the tip of it, so that when we put this cap back on, it'll slide easily right there. Now we need to come back and put these little plates and screws in, and my fingers are way too big to be able to grab hold of those. So I'm going to set them in place using a pair of hemostats. Now these screws are not stainless steel, they're regular steel. That means if you've got a magnetized screwdriver like this one happens to be, they should stick to it just fine. Okay, now remember, that the next metal plate, crossband, had the washer on the upper side. So let's go ahead and rotate this around. Stick that washer on there and then set it down inside like so. Get our screwdriver and our screw. And my screwdriver has got a little fuzz on the tip of it. I don't know if you can see that in your video, but I could see it and it was irritating me. So I got it out of the way. You don't need fuzz inside your reel. I think it was left over from those cotton swabs. Okay, now I meant to show you before and I forgot to, so let's do it now. All right, if you look at your drag adjuster here, it has this camshaft attached to it. Okay, and as that cam adjusts, if you go counterclockwise this way, it loosens the cam. It presses less against the pin. Now the pin is attached to this metal plate right here. See this pin? That's going to come through from this back side, and that pin fits right up against there, like so. Now, as this rotates, watch what happens. As you rotate it clockwise, see how that metal plate lifts, and then it drops off. Lifts, like so, and then drops off. Well, it's only going to go so far when everything's installed, so it will stop at that point. So it's at the lowest point right now, and that's what where you're going to want it to be. So that's how that works. It operates off that camshaft. Now, we've got one more of these to put in. Now that one, let's turn this back around the direction you're used to seeing it. Okay, that one had the washer on this side. This one's going to have the washer on this side over here. So let's go ahead. In order to make that stick, I'm going to add a little bit of grease like that, and then stick the washer on like so. So that when we set it in there, the washer is still going to be attached. All right, set it down in like so. Let's just hope the magnet's strong enough. There we go. If it was a non-magnetized screwdriver, it wouldn't have picked it right up, but it did as soon as I moved it. Let's stick this one in. All right, we've got those 6 screws back in. This should rotate easily, and it does. Our camshaft should rotate, or drag will rotate, and it does. Our anti-reverse over here should work, and it does. And our anti-reverse disconnect should work as well. Did? Yep. What was causing it to stick is what will happen a lot of times when you're dealing with an anti-reverse. Watch this shaft come up. When we see how it comes up, if it comes up, it locks. It catches on the gear and locks. If you hold it in place, then your anti-reverse is disabled like it's supposed to be. All right, so watch out for that. We're gonna go ahead and re-engage the anti-reverse. This is all done on the back side. So at this point, I think it's time. Yeah, let's go ahead and put the cover back on. Slip the cover on, rotate it. A little more. There we go. Okay. Button works. Okay, we're going to zoom back out. There we go. Okay, now it's time. Remember, this hole over here is the one you want this pin to go into. If you put it in that side over there, your drag's not going to function. Drop it in. All right. We're going to rotate this around until that falls all the way down. There. Now it's all the way down. That's the way we want it to be when we go to install our drag setup. So first, we'll install the first drag washer, like so. Then, we're going to want to use a drag washer grease. Can you use regular fishing reel grease? Yes, you can. I don't, because I happen to have drag washer grease. If you don't have any and don't want to make the expense of buying some, by all means, use regular fishing reel grease, and it'll work just fine. Okay, lubricate your drag washer. Slide it on. Now it's time for your spool to go on. Now, if you look right here, that little tab is your clicker. It clicks in this little channel right here when your drag is operating. So when you slip this on, hear that? That's the sound that you're going to get when your drag is operational. Come back. Add just a little bit of drag washer grease up here to the top, because we're putting this drag washer on. And we're going to install the E-clip back in. And don't do that, or you'll be going across the room looking for it like I'm going to. Instead, what you want to do is when you go to do that, put your finger down on top of it, so that in the event that your pliers do slip, or your screwdriver, whatever you're pushing it in with, does slip, your finger holds it in place. Keeps it from shooting across the room. Because if you were in a room that was very complicated, you might not know anywhere where that thing went. All right, go ahead, wipe your grease off. All right, now we're back to this spinner head. Now let's look at the bottom of this spinner head. Each of these rollers here are going to be rolling up here. Now if you look, you'll see a cam. See this 3-peak cam that's cut into this gear? That's when you push this button, what's going to happen is this spinner head lifts up. And when it lifts up, all 3 of these are going to click in on top of this cam right here. Push the button in, that lifts it up on top. Okay, it's now sitting on top of those cams. Now when you rotate it around, it drops 1, and there they go. All right, all 3 pins come out. Okay, when it drops down, the wheel drops into here. That's the first click that you heard. Then as you continue to rotate, it pushes it out to the edge, and when it hits to the edge, it drops down. When that spinner head drops down the rest of the way, that pushes all 3 of the spinner points out. Okay, so let's do it again. You'll hear the first click that's going to take it from the top of the cam down onto this shoulder, and then the second click is when it's going to push it out and over the side and drop it down. There you go. There's the first click as it drops down onto that first shoulder. And if when it comes down, it's already in that shoulder, then you're not going to get that first click. But if it's not, if it's on the very top, you'll get that first click, which is what we've got now. None of the pins are out. So it's on that shoulder. And then as it goes the rest of the way, it pushes it out and down. And the whole thing drops down. And there you've got your spinner head where it belongs for winding it in. All right. That's back on. I lubricated the spinner head. Jim Jones pointed out this week that the last one of these, when I did the Zebco Boss 700, that I didn't specify about the shoulders on the top, and I didn't tell you about the pins. Well, there's no pins on that one, but I didn't specify about the little lever inside there that causes it to drop down when you spin it around. So Jim, I hope that makes you happy. I had to take care of that. It makes me happy that I explained it. I didn't forget it this time, and I remembered to lubricate those instead of forgetting it like I did on the 700. Folks, if you see anything I do that's wrong, please let me know. I don't want to be putting out bad information. I'm not saying what I'm going to do is always going to be perfect, but I would like to. If you see anything I'm doing wrong, let me know, and we'll see about getting it corrected. Tommy and Jim, I thank you for all the help that you've given me in these videos, and hopefully we will be able to continue to do that. All right, now we have that cam to where it can't do a full 360 rotation anymore. Okay, it's going to rotate around to there. All right. Well, it's going to tighten up as much as I want it to. There it goes. Oh yeah, that's pretty tight. Let's back it off a little bit. Okay. I'm not hearing the clicker. If I'm not hearing the clicker, I'm not happy, folks. So we're going back in. Don't know why we're not hearing the clicker. We were hearing it fine a while ago. Let's find out. Okay, I see what's happened. I'm raising this to the point where it's no longer making contact. Much better. All right, that's got that all back together. Now it's functional again. What was happening is that clicker was pushed down too far and it wasn't clicking. As soon as you adjusted the drag up, it moved the spool up far enough that it wasn't touching. So I've got that taken care of now. We have a functional drag and a functional clicker for the drag. Let's take this line, which we're going to be cutting off, by the way, when we're done. And run it this way. Okay, and we're going to reinstall the cover like so. And let's take a look. Put our handle back on. All right, well, we'll go ahead and put the handle on. Anybody notice what I did wrong this time? There's always something every time. You'd think I'd quit, but I won't. Okay, this is the second or third time on one of my videos that I have gotten sidetracked by other things and forgot to put the spinner head back on. So, now that we have that accomplished, let's try putting this on here so that the Spincaster 1 is across the top this time. There we go. Lose Spincaster 1. Okay, we've got the handle on. It's tight. Let's go ahead and wind it in. It's moving freely. The anti-reverse is working. Let's go ahead and turn the anti-reverse off. See what happens. Okay, that's good. Turn it back on. Okay, test the drag. There we go. Can we tighten it down enough to stop it? Yes. All right. All right, fishing fans, there we go. There is the Lew's Speedcast 1 Zebco, made in the US of A, that is on its way to Tommy Modisette. All right, as you've seen in the video so far, I've put it all together and it's functional. The drag is working, but remember I had this problem with the drag not working right, and I was in there adjusting the little tab at the bottom to try to get it to work right. Well, let's explain exactly what happened. All right, we're going to take the cap off. We are going to remove the spinner head. And we're going to take off the E-clip. Make sure not to let it fly. All right. When I took this off originally, here's what I did. I took this part off, and I told you about how dry it was right here. Okay, and then I set the piece over here. And if you go back and watch the video, you'll see that's exactly what I did. Then I took this part off and looked at it, said, okay, there's my drag washer, and here's my drag washer. Okay, this one doesn't have one on the top. Well, what I didn't realize was that this piece here was actually the one that I took off at the top. Okay, this is the one I took off the bottom. Now, where the difference in that is this one right here, the one that was on the top, had a fabric washer on the bottom. All right. That fabric washer has still yet to be lubricated. It belongs on the top of the spool right here. So let me show you the correct way for this to be set up. First, you should have the metal washer. Next, you should have a properly lubricated drag washer. On top of that, we'll go this spool. And the spool has to go with this side down. This is the side with the clickers on it that are going to ride right there. All right, it goes down. You can hear the clicker. Okay. Next comes your drag washer, which I have now lubricated with drag grease, and the metal washer. On top of that is going to go your E-clip. On top of the E-clip, we'll go ahead and slide it in place. There we go. Now, I no longer have line on this, Tommy. I did take the line off for you. Now, no matter where you adjust this, you're going to have the proper clicker on the drag. Whether you adjust it light, soft, you're going to have it. All right? So, Tommy, I did that for you, corrected it. I actually had this packed up and ready to go home to you, but there. Now, once I've got this done, I'm going to re-edit this and get it reposted. As soon as I found out that I had made the mistake, it was the morning of Easter Sunday, and I went ahead and pulled the video offline immediately so that it wouldn't go out there that way, and I didn't have anybody out there doing it incorrectly. Like I've said earlier in the video, if you catch me doing something wrong, please let me know. I don't want to make a mistake, and this was obviously a very big mistake. So what was the mistake? Let me repeat it one more time. I had both of the fabric drag washers on the bottom side of the spool. One should be on the top and one should be on the bottom, and they should both be firmly up against the spool. That's the configuration. If you look, you're going to see here is the schematic for this reel. It's actually not for this reel. It's for a Zebco 1, but it's essentially the same exact reel. The part numbers are just different for the front and rear covers. All right, so there you have it. And Tommy, I hope you get some use out of this reel. I'm going to be pulling that line off. You're going to have to put you some new line on there, but you can put on whatever you'd like to have on there. I hope you guys like this video. If you do, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, sure, go ahead, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about it. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Hit the notification button if you'd like to be notified as to when I have posted a new video. And for now, this is Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, signing out.